Every time you unwrap that foil tray on a plane, you're tasting something that's been through one of the most complex kitchens on Earth. Before it ever reaches your seat, your meal has been chopped, grilled, chilled, packed, and loaded through a system so fast and precise that even a single delay can ruin thousands of trays. And here's the thing most passengers never realize. Every omelet, every serving of pasta, and even that tiny dessert has been prepared inside a catering facility that runs non-stop, 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Now, before we dig in, here's a strange fact. The air you breathe in a plane can actually make your food taste different. Because of the pressure and humidity levels, your sense of taste dulls by around 30%. So, chefs have to create meals that taste good in a place where flavor itself behaves differently. If you love learning how things like this work, hit subscribe, because this is where we uncover the strangest and most secretive factory processes in the world. Alright, let's step inside the hidden kitchens that feed the skies. Part 1. The kitchen that never closes. Inside one of the world's largest airline catering centers, the day never really ends. Giant vats of noodles bubble away, ovens hiss open with trays of grilled meat, and teams of chefs rush to fill carts bound for the next departure gate. The goal is simple but relentless. Feed tens of thousands of passengers every single day. This one facility alone produces around 50,000 meals daily for dozens of airlines. And the shopping list is unbelievable. 168,000 lobster tails a month, over 1 million pounds of rice a year, and thousands of gallons of sauces, soups, and stocks. Their annual food budget hovers around $500 million. It's like an industrial city of cooks split into sections just like a restaurant, except much bigger. There's a salad room, a dessert section, and a massive hot kitchen for vegetables, noodles, and rice dishes. Hundreds of people are constantly working, chopping, frying, and packing meals in assembly line precision. Nothing here is random. Everything runs on the tightest possible schedule, because each dish must be prepared, assembled, chilled, and served within a 72-hour window. If a batch exceeds that time, it's thrown away. Part 2. Cooking for the sky. The kitchen starts preparing meals about 24 to 36 hours before takeoff, but they don't fully cook everything. Most meats, vegetables, and starches are only cooked partway through, around 40 to 60%. A steak or chicken fillet is lightly grilled, cooled, and stored. It's finished later by flight attendants in the aircraft ovens at around 150 to 160 degrees. Why not just cook it completely? Because once food is reheated on board, it would dry out and lose its texture. The trick is to stop cooking just before the flavor peaks, so the final heating in the air completes it perfectly. The menus vary by route. A passenger flying from Singapore might get chicken rice or a hawker-style soup, while someone boarding in New York might find a smoked trout salad waiting. Each region gets its own cuisine, adjusted for local tastes. There are over 800 menu variations rotating at any given time. The premium kitchens handle the first and business class dishes, grilling filet mignon, preparing lobster thermidor, and arranging fresh salads. Meanwhile, the economy kitchen focuses on large batch dishes like pasta, curry, and omelets. The goal in every meal is balance: a protein, a starch, a vegetable, and a sauce. Which kind of meal would you rather prepare? The fancy first-class dishes or the giant batches for economy? Part 3. The giant omelet machine. Now, let's visit one of the most fascinating stations, the omelet line. Every economy-class omelet you've ever eaten on a plane was likely made on a massive rotating table. The process looks mechanical but is run by people. A machine pumps out precise amounts of liquid egg mixture into small pans arranged around a slowly spinning metal platform. As the table rotates, cooks stationed around it flip, fold, and stack the omelets. Each one gets cooked to golden perfection, then cooled and transferred for packing. They make about 6,000 to 7,000 omelets per day, all by hand. Did that surprise you? Most people think airline food is made by robots, but much of it still depends on human timing and precision. Part 4. The hot kitchen. This is where the serious heat lives. Giant kettles boil vats of noodles and pasta. Steel tanks filled with sauce are pumped into cooling trays from the bottom to avoid clumping. Even the vegetables are balanced with exact care, cooked quickly at 100 degrees, then plunged into cold air or water to stop the process instantly. Chefs want the vegetables to stay bright and crisp, not mushy. They describe it as cooking everything al dente, slightly firm to the bite, so it finishes cooking naturally while cooling or later during reheating. Each tray of food gets a tracking label that logs the date, time, and batch number. If any problem ever arises, it can be traced all the way back to the exact minute it left the kitchen. Part 5. Assembly lines of precision. Once the ingredients are prepared, the real choreography begins. Long stainless steel tables stretch across the room, with workers standing on both sides, moving fast but carefully. Each person adds one component: rice, vegetables, meat, sauce, following a photo guide that shows exactly how the meal should look. This step might look repetitive, but it's the heart of the operation. Every meal must be uniform, right down to the position of the garnish. The trays are filled, sealed with foil toppers and moved into refrigerated storage. It's a race against time. Once ingredients leave the fridge, they have 45 minutes to be assembled, sealed, and chilled again. That's the limit before food safety standards kick in. Would you be able to handle that kind of speed? Or would your tray assembly look like a disaster zone? Part 6. Desserts and special touches. In a separate chilled room, another team works on desserts. These range from simple fruit cups to more intricate sweets like floating islands, where meringue rests on a pool of custard. They're carefully portioned and covered to prevent moisture loss during flight. Everything has to survive the reheating or chilling process in the air. That's why deep-fried items like fries or battered chicken almost never appear on menus. Thin fish like sea bass are avoided too, since they dry out quickly. Instead, thicker cuts like salmon or cod are chosen because they retain moisture better. Even the seasoning is planned. Instead of piling on salt, chefs use flavorful spices, stocks, and umami-rich ingredients to bring depth. Turmeric, for example, helps reduce swelling and discomfort during flights, while ginger adds a calming effect. Part 7. Packing for takeoff. When all the food is ready, it's time for the final packaging. Here, meal trays meet the carts that will roll down the aisles later. There's an elevator just for cutlery, napkins, and porcelain dishes. Workers set up full meal services for business and first class. Cutlery, salt and pepper shakers, butter portions, even the tiny dessert spoons. The setup for economy class is simpler, but just as organized. Each cart gets labeled with its flight number, destination, and the meal type inside. Everything must match exactly, because once it's loaded onto the plane, there's no time to check what's inside. If you opened a single meal cart, you'd find it labeled like a miniature logistics system. Every tray and cup in the right spot, perfectly timed for delivery. Part 8. The countdown to flight. With everything packed and sealed, the carts head down another elevator to waiting refrigerated trucks. They're loaded onto the planes usually within an hour before departure. From start to finish, the entire journey of that meal, from prep to plating, happens in less than 3 days. If the timing goes over 72 hours by even one, the meals can't be served. They're immediately discarded to maintain safety standards. It's an unforgiving clock, but that's what keeps passengers safe. Imagine that pressure. You're making food for tens of thousands of travelers, and you can't afford to be even a few minutes late. Part 9. Taste at altitude. Back on board, the meals are reheated in compact ovens just before service. The trays are arranged to match the photos chefs provided, so every dish looks identical to how it did in the factory. And when passengers finally open that foil lid, they're tasting something that's been designed, cooked, chilled, and shipped with military precision. A meal made to serve altitude, pressure changes, in a race against time. Part 10. The next flight. Once the last meal leaves the kitchen, the next round begins almost immediately. The team resets, cleans down every surface, restocks the stations, and starts again. There's no real break, just a continuous flow of food moving toward planes that can never stop flying. It's an operation built on timing, precision, and a strange kind of artistry, where flavor meets logistics, and every omelet, every pasta dish, every dessert is part of a global dance to keep the world fed at 30,000 feet. So which part of this process surprised you the most? Was it the hand-flipped omelets, the massive cooling rooms, or the fact that every single meal has a photo to follow? Drop your thoughts below and tell us what product you've always wondered how it's made. If we pick your idea, we'll feature your name in our next video. We've shown you how airline food is made, but what about the meal carts that store it all? Should we show you how those are built next? Comment which one you'd like to see, and maybe we'll take you inside that factory next time.